Alright, let's continue. We've got a different kind of energy going now. We've got a inquisitive energy. Yeah, that's the word. Alright, let's continue. At the chapel.
Virgil, where's Abbot Gregory? What interrupted his mass?
The abbot. His death was the interruption.
Ooh.
A third murder, I'm afraid. The lights went out during mass. Moments later, the statue of Saint Walpurga crashed down from the ceiling, impaling Abbot Gregory with its spear.
Yo, boys, we were wrong. Gregory's dead.
An assassination, then. But why? We must determine who is possessed immediately. Examining the facts will reveal Ainsof's truth. How was the statue held in place?
Due to its weight, we had to rely on using aether-powered restraints to hang it above the altar.
Really?
Which means the killer must have sabotaged the 2 power generators on the balcony floor.
Isn't that just a bad idea? Like, having your heavy statue just lifted by 2 power generators. Imagine there's a blackout in the city. Crash. That's a whole new statue you need to buy.
There were only 2 people on the balcony during the mass. I've detained them for interrogation.
Ooh.
I've sent the pilgrims back to town, lest they panic and disturb the evidence.
Excellent work, Virgil. Who are the suspects? You said there were 2.
You already know them.
Oh, no.
Brother Gideon and Father Augustine.
Oh, no.
Since you are a key witness to the events, I will of course hear your testimony as well. May Ainsof show us the truth behind all of today's events.
Alright, we got 3 people this time. Let's see, it's these 3 people. Gideon.
This can't be happening. Yet another death? Am I to be blamed again?
Calm yourself, Gideon.
Oh, he's from the first mission. I'm innocent even more. I'm a victim here. I was attacked. Surely that puts me above suspicion. Do I still have his traits? He had 2 traits. I don't remember. He was narcissist. That's what it was. You attacked by whom? I couldn't see them. Whoever it was, they attacked me from behind. I was knocked unconscious until the guards found me. Okay. So let's see. What is this story?
At the start of the night, I was waiting near the organ.
He's just standing there. That's weird. Alright. Then
When
what?
the mass began, I played the entry hymn on the organ. I think I played well enough, though I didn't have much time to practice it.
Okay, he plays the hymn.
After the opening hymn, I listened to Abbot Gregory's sermon. It was a pretty good one.
He moves over here. Sees all the cultists. Who's that guy? Alright, some guy comes behind him.
When the ritual of communion began,
douche.
someone attacked me from behind. I fell unconscious until just now.
Oh! I want to see that again. You can hear some stuff. He's like trying to dance or something. Ah, he got popped like that. Okay. Next, what do you have, Inquisitor Virgil? Sister, we must bring divine justice upon the sinner who killed Abbot Gregory. I only wish I could act as Inquisitor here, but I submit to your authority. This is what I witnessed tonight. Okay.
We arrived shortly before the mass began.
Then you just stop there.
Inquisitor, prepare.
As you command. I began my patrol by securing the east side of the balcony. I saw Gideon examining the ritual bell.
Okay, so he goes over here.
Then, I patrolled the south balcony.
Okay. So he goes to the south balcony. How is this verified? Oh. I'm assuming by him because he saw him. So he saw him there.
Everything appeared to be in order, so
Oh,
I
God.
ended my patrol and watched over the chapel from the south balcony.
There was some dude on the bells there. Okay. The lights go out.
As I heard the ritual bell ring for the second time, the lights went out.
Okay.
I suspected foul play, so I headed towards the west generator. Along the way, I discovered Gideon lying unconscious.
Okay, so he was knocked out. Then what? Then he ran towards
To
something.
protect the remaining generator, I ran towards the east balcony. Along the way, I heard an explosion.
That guy's still there apparently. There's an explosion.
Then, the statue's aether restraints deactivated, dropping and impaling Abbot Gregory.
Okay.
Rest in peace. When I arrived at the generator, Augustine was standing nearby, smirking at the carnage he caused. I arrested him there and then.
Okay, so you arrested this guy apparently. Scholar.
Ah, poor Abbot Gregory. We had such hopes and plans together. If only he had listened to your sage advice, Sister Ada. Perhaps he would be safe now,
The way he's speaking, I don't like him already.
You. I cannot ignore that you are the link. Everything that has happened today points back to you, Augustine.
I think it's Augustine,
It
but
must
we won't
be a
know.
tragic coincidence. The abbot was my friend and trusted ally. I wished him no harm.
Right, so he's the obvious suspect, right? So that means that's not him. That's how it works in most mystery games.
Explain your actions.
It's gonna be like the
What were
Inquisitor.
you doing on the balcony?
On God, it's gonna turn out that he, the Inquisitor, knocked that motherfucker down, went to the other side, pulled the generator, did some boogie stuff, and then arrested him.
With Mother Miriam's passing, Abbot Gregory needed someone to ring the ritual bell. I volunteered.
Okay,
It was an honor.
so what did you do?
The abbot, Virgil, and I arrived at the chapel just before the mass.
Okay, you all arrived. That's fine.
As you command.
When I headed to my seat for the mass to begin, I was rather excited for the proceedings.
So you went to sit down, sing hymns.
We began by singing the hymn of communion. It was glorious.
Then he
When the sermon
headed to the bell.
started, I headed to the balcony to prepare to ring the bell.
Okay.
I rang the bell to announce the start of communion. I noticed Gideon was absent from the other balcony, but didn't think much of it at the time. I rang the bell a second time.
Okay, he hit it again.
Suddenly, the lights went out and the chapel was covered in darkness. I stood calmly by the bell, waiting for someone to fix the problem.
Okay, so you just waited. Wait. No, that's a lie. He rang the bell again. Why wait? Why not investigate the situation yourself? Sister Ada, not everyone is as noisy as you are. Or nosy, my bad. Okay. Something fell over there.
Moments later, the statue dropped from the ceiling. And I saw the abbot impaled by the statue.
Okay,
I'll never forget that image. That's when Virgil arrested me.
okay, we can contradict that with this. That's one lie. He got arrested somewhere else. Liar, when Virgil arrested you, you were not standing by the bell. You were standing near the generator overlooking the altar. True, but what does a few feet matter? Quite a bit. You were the only one near the east generator before the statue fell. Perhaps you sabotaged it. Ah, but I only approached the generator because I heard an explosion. I arrived after the sabotage, not before. Okay, so here's the actual one.
Then I heard an explosion. I discovered that the power moments later, the statue dropped from the ceiling.
Then he ran to the generator and saw it. There's another person there.
But I saw the abbot impaled by the statue. On the other balcony, I could see someone looking down at the altar. That's when Virgil arrested me.
Okay. So we know he was definitely... So let's say... Can we contradict him falling unconscious? No, we can't. Right. So that's the events that played out. Okay, let's go gather some evidence. So let's see the dead body. Body, the statue, body, spear. A hanging statue. Okay, we got the spear. A spear held by the statue appears to have etheric mechanisms of unknown origin. Gokwan. What? What's that? We have something here. What is this? The devil's... Oh, someone's been smoking weed. The abbey must be purified of its scent. I should dispose of it. Oh yeah, you're gonna smoke it, bro. God damn. Why is everyone smoking? Let's see. Organ. A massive musical instrument similar to an organ in the cybernetics tower. Okay. This is the west generator. West generator. The generator normally powers the lights and the aether restraints in the conjunction with the counterpart in the east balcony have been fried by some of the etheric discharge. Okay, so it's still got some discharge in it. Okay, we can't see anything here. We know someone had some devil's herb. Let's see, the bell and a hammer. Let's check out the bell. Disgusting. An old bronze bell rung during masses. Okay, hammer is a two-handed bronze hammer used to ring the bell. Okay, what about this generator? Oh, some bits are broken. East generator. The generator normally powers blah blah blah. It's been fried and discharge. What's this? Cybernetic remains found near the power generator and the east balcony overloaded and shattered to bits. So that's the hammer. So I'm assuming the hammer was used for that. I don't see any other pieces of evidence. So let's talk to them. Alright, let's see. Let's begin our inquiry.
We arrived shortly before the mass began. I began my patrol by securing the east side of the balcony.
Who's this?
I saw Gideon examining the ritual bell.
So that's Gideon. So wait, if that's Gideon, then we can contradict that. No. On Gideon.
At the start of the night, I was waiting near the
Contradict this. That's one lie. Lies Gideon. Virgil saw you standing near the ritual bell by the prior to the mass. What were you doing? Really? I'm innocent, but maybe the attack damaged my memory. You say there's some familiar. Did I misremember? I do recall being by the bell when exactly that happened. Let me think. Okay, so we have more.
Given the tragic events of this morning, I examined the condition of the east generator to ensure the safety of the chapel.
Okay, so check the generator.
Next, I checked the ritual bell. As I was doing this, I saw Inquisitor Virgil gazing at the altar.
I'll check the third eye in a sec. He's sitting down, so we have that. So he sat down, he saw him. He saw him walk over there. Saw the east balcony. And then he returned to the organ.
I knew mass was about to begin, so I...
What did Virgil say he was doing at this point?
I began my patrol by securing the east side of the balcony. I saw Gideon examining the ritual
Okay,
bell.
that's fine. Alright, let me go to the third eyes.
I knew math.
Alright, let's see. What are you hiding? Is it still narcissist? Shattered confidence. Oh. Okay, and
When I added...
what about you? Pride. That's a sin of itself. Okay, so we know he did take a seat. Do we know he sang
We
the
began
hymn?
by singing the hymn of communion. It was glorious.
Where's Virgil at this point?
I patrolled the south balcony.
Can we see him at all in this? He didn't look over, okay.
Everything appeared to be in order, so I ended my patrol and watched over the chapel from the south balcony.
Okay. So he's saying he's been on here. Now, what did
I
Augustine
rang the
hear?
bell to announce the start. When the sermon started, I headed to the balcony to prepare to ring the bell.
So he does see him there. He's watching the south balcony. I mean the thing. He hits it once.
I rang the bell a second.
Twice.
Suddenly the lights went out and the chapel was covered in darkness. I stood, then I heard an explosion. I discovered that the power generator was damaged.
So it blew up.
Moments later,
Then the statue dropped.
an
Okay.
explosion. I discovered that the power generator was damaged.
What did Virgil say he was doing
To
at this point?
protect the remaining generator, I ran towards the east balcony. Along the way, when I arrived at the to protect the remaining generator, I suspected foul play. So I headed towards the west generator. Along the way, I discovered Gideon lying unconscious.
Let's ask about Gideon's body. Other than his crushed chest, there appears to be no other wound on his body. Okay. You know that prideful. Okay. What can we contradict? Let's see, Augustine.
Suddenly the lights went out and the chapel was covered in darkness. I stood.
Can we contradict him on the hammer?
bell, waiting.
That seems illogical. Okay, fair enough. I don't blame him. So during Stay Calm, the bell was wrong again.
I suspected foul
So let's
play.
say, ask
I
about
headed
this. The hammer in the abbey, okay. The bell, where's the bell? Because we know it's been hit 3 times. Ritual bell, ask about that. The bell used for masses. Can't anyone say, oh yeah, it rang 3 times? Gideon?
When the ritual of communion...
The bell is older than the cathedral. Urban used to make sure that it's well maintained. Okay. No one knows if it was hit 3 times. Oh, my bad. Okay. We can ask him about his shared confidence. I've done nothing wrong, but I can't help worrying that I'm slipping under the pressure somehow. Okay. And Augustine, what about your pride?
Suddenly the lights.
Is that what you see? Do you prevent me? Interesting. Okay. We know he's prideful. We know he hit the bell 3 times due to the animation. Can we confirm from anyone?
When I headed to my seat for the mass to begin, I was rather excited for the proceedings.
Let's see. Can Gideon say
Given
he
the
saw him?
tragic events of this morning, I examined the condition. Next, I checked the ritual
So
bell.
he sees him
As
there.
I was doing this, I saw Inquisitor Virgil gazing at the altar.
So he goes over there. Looks at the altar.
I knew mass was about to begin,
Goes to
so
the
I
organ.
headed back to the organ. When the mass began, I
Plays the
played the
hymn.
end. After the opening hymn, I listened to Abbot Gregory's sermon. It was a pretty good one.
Virgil, what
Everything
did you do?
appeared to be in order, so I ended my patrol and watched over the
I
chapel
think he
from
punched
the
him.
south balcony.
I think Virgil knocked him out. But how do we prove this? Outside of, just knowing the thing happened from the animation.
As I heard, everything
And
appeared
what
to
did
be.
Augustine say
I
happened
rang the
here?
bell a second time. I rang the bell to announce the start of I rang the bell to announce the
He
start
got
of
folded over
communion.
there.
I noticed Gideon was absent from the other balcony, but didn't think much of it at the time. I rang the bell a second time.
Okay. He rang the bell second time.
Suddenly the lights went out and the chapel was covered in darkness. I stood calmly by the bell, waiting for... Then I heard an explosion. I discovered that the power generator was damaged. Suddenly the lights went out and the chapel
Let's
was
go ask him
covered
about
in...
the hammer. Hammer used for the bell, okay. West generator. Okay, nothing. You have anything in chat? Or Jeff, I should say. So what we know what happened.
When I headed to my seat for the mass to begin, I was rather excited for the proceedings.
Ask him about that. Tell me, what were you excited for? Tonight was the culmination of my labor. All of my scholarship pointed towards this moment. The spear, the statue, and the hymn all gathered in one place. Okay. Wait, if he...
I began my
Ask him about that. Why did you position yourself at the south balcony? Gave me a clear vantage point for the entire chapel. So he should have seen.
Everything appeared to be.
Did I just ask that? Yeah, I did. Okay. I can't contradict him about that. Actually, knocked him out. Listen, I can't really contradict him about that.
As I heard the ritual bell ring for the second time, the light I suspected foul play, so I headed towards the west general.
Suddenly, the lights went out
Contradict
and
him
the chapel
on
was
that. Can anyone? Virgil doesn't believe that you were standing idle during the time. I tend to agree with him. Baseless speculation. If you have proof, I would like to hear it. Contradict on lights out. Virgil doesn't believe you're standing. Okay. Pause. Contradict him on find Gideon. Virgil doesn't believe. Okay. Okay. I need to think, boys. Think. What do we know happened? He was up here. Someone bodied him from behind. There's some devil's herb. It'd be so nice if there was cameras here. The hammer here. There was the explosion. That's all accounted for. Is there anything else we're missing, or is just this baseless? Like check the timeline, make sure everything adds up, contradict whatever you can't find. Because now we're struggling. Okay, let's go through everyone's thing one by one again.
The abbot, Virgil, and I arrived at the chapel just before the mass.
He arrived, okay.
When I headed to my seat for the mass to begin, I was rather excited for the proceedings.
He sat down. Okay, that's accounted for by him. That's Gideon right there. Checking the bell. He's patrolling. That makes sense. He's accounted for there. I still hear footsteps. Oh, that's probably him returning to the organ. He does check the generator a bit. So he checked the generator, then he left. Now he's leaving for the south balcony. He stayed there a lot longer than I expected. What did Virgil say at this point?
I patrolled the south balcony. I began my patrol by securing the east side of the. Then I patrolled the south.
Okay, no,
balcony.
that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay.
When I headed to my seat for the mass, we began by singing the hymn of communion. It was glorious.
Can Virgil confirm he saw him standing there?
I patrolled the south balcony.
Yes, he can. He saw him there. Okay.
We began by singing the hymn of communion. It was glorious.
Okay, then he
when
headed
the
to the
sermon
bell.
started, I headed to the balcony to prepare to ring the bell.
That makes sense because it rang.
I rang the bell to announce this. I rang the bell a second time. Suddenly, the lights
rang
went
a third
out
time.
and the chapel was covered in darkness.
So you would, why not investigate yourself? Everyone's nosy as you. Okay. So the bell did ring a third time. Like now, it got rang again.
Then I heard an explosion.
Then the explosion, then he ran over there.
Then I heard an explosion.
What about Gideon?
When the ritual of communion began, someone attacked me from behind. I fell unconscious until just now.
Wait, Augustine said he
then
heard.
I heard, but I saw the abbot impaled. By moments later, the statue dropped.
He saw someone
from the
across,
ceiling.
right? So can I contradict him being knocked out there? No. We saw someone there, and I'm assuming that's Gideon. But how do you prove that?
But I saw the abbot impaled by the statue. On the other balcony, I could see someone looking down at the altar. That's when Virgil arrested me.
Okay, so he saw someone on the other side of that altar. But can I contradict him
When the ritual
by
of
saying
communion
this?
began,
There we go. Because he was obviously right up. Lies, you're awake, Gideon. After the statue dropped, Augustine saw someone looking down from the west balcony. Since Virgil was behind Augustine, it had to be you. What were you really doing? Did you lie about the attack too? No, I really was attacked. I woke up just before the statue fell. I was trying to fix the generator. Ooh. Ah, so we get more now.
When the ritual of communion began,
got knocked
someone
out.
attacked me from behind. I fell unconscious until just now.
Then he woke up.
Sometime later, I woke up in darkness. I realized that one of the power generators must have been disabled.
Then he ran over to fix it.
So I headed to the west power generator and inspected it. It was completely fried. There was nothing I could do to restore it.
Okay, and then the statue fell, and then he looked over.
The
Okay,
balcony to see it.
let's see what does your third eye say? Fear. Ooh, he's got fear in his heart. Let's talk about that. Why? What are you afraid of? Of course, I'm afraid of being framed for the murder. It would ruin everything I am meant for great things. That's what he's afraid of. He's afraid of being framed. Okay. So now that we have everything on the right, everything's working.
As I was inspecting, so I headed to the west power generator and inspected it. It was completely fried.
He didn't
There
hear
was
an
nothing I could
explosion.
do to restore it.
Can we contradict Augustine? Because no one
Then
heard an
I heard
explosion.
an explosion.
No one heard an explosion. He heard it. Did Virgil hear
To
an
protect
explosion?
the remaining generator, I ran towards the east balcony. Along the way, I heard an
Wait.
explosion. I suspected foul play, so I headed towards the west generator.
He woke up.
Along the way, I discovered Gideon lying unconscious.
He said he was... What?
Suddenly, the light.
Sometime later, I woke up in darkness.
Contradict.
I realized that one of the power generators
Find
must have...
Gideon. There we go. Conflict. Why would I lie about this? You told me yourself that I was spotted by Augustine. Okay, and Virgil. Contradict. Wake up here. Conflict. As Inquisitor and servant of Einsoft, I swear that I speak the truth. Gideon was not awake then. Okay, so we have two conflicting evidence. He said he was up, he said he was still unconscious.
We arrived. I began my
Okay.
everything. As I heard the ritual bell ring, I suspected foul play. So I headed towards the west to protect the remaining generator. Everything appeared to be in order.
Okay.
So I ended my patrol and
Yeah, I think it
rang
was
the bell
Virgil.
to announce the start of communion. Suddenly, the lights went out and the chapel was covered in darkness.
You found Gideon
I
there.
stood, then I heard an explosion. I discovered that the power generator was damaged.
Let's ask about this. These were found by the generator. Okay, second one. He was tired of being the dad being in once. Okay. Right, so we have a contradiction. How did we solve the last one? We showed evidence, right?
Suddenly, the lights went out and the
So
chapel was
if we say
Sometime later, I woke up in darkness. I realized that one of the power generators must have been disabled.
West generator ask. Generators work in tandem to provide etheric energy to the chapel. Okay. So we have a contradiction. How do we fix said contradiction? Ask about Virgil. Virgil can be impulsive, but he didn't have any reason to harm Abbot Gregory, did he? Okay, so we don't get anything. So try to fix generator.
So I headed to the west power generator and inspected it. It was completely fried. There was nothing I could do to restore it.
That makes sense, because we had it. It said the generator normally powers lights, blah blah blah. It's been fried by some sort of etheric discharge. Okay. Can I contradict him on that? Hey. I have no idea what. Okay. Ritual bell. Ask him about that now. Can I? Because I know the bell got hit again. Rang about there, around here. Rang a third time. So, did he hear it?
Sometime later, I woke. When the ritual of communion began, someone attacked me from behind. I fell unconscious until just now.
So that blew up, and then he ran away. You can see Virgil right there. But how do we prove this? Okay, the bell rang like here.
Sometime later, I woke up in darkness. I realized that one of the power generators must have been disabled.
Okay, can we say that he...
Suddenly, the lights went out, and the chapel was covered in darkness.
Because no one said
I
he
stood
heard him.
calmly by the bell, waiting for someone.
Can
Sometime
Gideon
later, I woke up in
contradict
darkness.
that? And Virgil contradict
I
that?
suspected foul play.
Okay, they can't. The reason I'm wondering is because we hear the third bell, but he never says he hit the third bell. Okay, Gideon.
Sometime later, I woke up in darkness. I realized that one of the power generators must have been disabled.
So Virgil is the one we
I
need to find
suspected
out.
foul play. So I headed towards the west to protect the remaining. I suspected. As I heard the ritual bell ring for the second time, everything appeared to be in order.
Can
So I
anyone
ended my patrol
prove
and
this?
watched over the chapel from the south balcony.
Okay, did he see him?
I rang the bell to announce the start of communion.
Contradict that? Nope. Can Virgil be
Everything
contradicted
appeared to be in order.
by
So I ended my
ring
patrol.
bell? No. What can we find?
Then I began my patrol by securing the east side of the balcony. I saw Gideon examining the ritual bell.
Can Gideon
Next,
prove
I
that?
checked the ritual bell. Given the tragic events of this... Next, I checked the ritual bell. As I was doing this, I saw Inquisitor Virgil gazing at the altar.
Okay. So
I
can
began my
this
patrol by securing the east side of
be
the balcony.
contradicted by that? There we go. East Patrol. Why do you lie, Virgil? Gideon saw you on the balcony looking down upon Abot and Augustine. I didn't want to distract you from the trivial details. It is true that I was watching the two of them. I suspect Father Augustine was up to something. Okay, so we have the full story here
We
now.
arrived shortly before the mass began. At the abbot's behest, I patrolled the upper floor of the
So
chapel.
he was eavesdropping.
First, I secured the east balcony.
Ah, that's where he was.
I went up the balcony, but I listened in on the abbot and Augustine. I think they were discussing the
Okay, so now
When
we
I
can
headed to my
contradict him.
seat for the mass to begin,
Bam, more lies. Just killed them all. Lies. Virgil saw you speaking to Abba. What were you discussing? Oh, he saw us very well. Abba and I did speak by the altar. It is true. We were discussing the ritual communion. We wanted everything to be perfect. Okay. So he discussed that with him. Perfect. We're breaking it down further.
the abbot, Virgil, and I arrived at the chapel. At the altar, the abbot and I discussed the ritual significance of the mass tonight.
So they talked.
When
Then
I
he
headed to
returned.
my seat for the mass to begin, I was rather excited for the proceedings.
He didn't take a seat. He stood. Anyway, Virgil, what do you
I
have to
was
say?
suspicious of Augustine, but I continued my duties by continuing my patrol.
Let's see what your lies are. What's your first lie? Wrath. Damn. I did not expect that. Divine justice must be served, assist Ada. Okay. But apparently, we still can't confirm him taking
When
a
I
seat.
headed to my seat, we began by singing.
Oh, we can get another lie from him. Alright, what else have you got, buddy? Ritual of communion, what? Through his research on daemons, Augustine was able to discover a way to reach out into the aether and commune with the spirits therein. Abba Gregory and I were trying to achieve communion at state in which Ein Sof can speak directly into our hearts. Ein Sof wasn't always so silent, you know, everyone would hear his voice, and it was no metaphor. But since daemons were sealed away by Saint Walpurga, Ein Sof has also become silent. The church pretended they could hear what the layfolk couldn't. But what if we could hear? We could all hear Ein Sof again. Boundary between the physical and the ethereal realms are finished at this abbey where Walpurga sealed it. On Walpurgist not It becomes thinner still, a cyclical resonance every 111 years. By having the faithful sing in unison, we hope to break Walloper's seal and witness Einsof once more. Okay. So he says he sung the bell, sung at the thing.
When the sermon started, I headed to the balcony to prepare to ring the bell.
Okay, so can Virgil be...
Everything appeared to be in order.
Okay. I was like, damn, you got me. I did knock him out. So he returned to there, apparently.
As I heard the ritual bell ring for the second time, the lights went out. Everything appeared to
One
be
bell.
in order. So I heard the ritual bell ring for I suspected foul play.
No
so
one
I
talks
headed
about the
towards
third
the west
bell.
generator. Along the way, I discovered Gideon lying unconscious.
So this is where the contradiction happens. How do we prove this contradiction? Because he could have woken up here.
To protect the remaining generator, I ran towards the east balcony. Along the way, I heard an explosion.
So there was an explosion. Both of them heard it. Run towards there. But he's trying to fix it.
So I headed to the west power
fixing that
generator
one.
and inspected it. It was completely fried. There was nothing I could do to restore it.
Okay. I mean, someone tampered with it during the lights out.
Sometime when the ritual of communion began, someone attacked me from behind. I fell unconscious until just now.
What does Augustine say
I
happened?
rang the bell a second time. Suddenly, the lights went out and the chapel was covered in darkness.
Okay.
I stood calmly by the bell, waiting for someone to fix the problem.
So he stood calmly by the bell. This is where everything happens. I know, we've confirmed everything else.
At the altar, the abbot and I, when I
He's
headed to
playing the
my seat
hymns.
for the mass to begin, I was rather excited for the proceeding.
What is Virgil doing
I
here?
was suspicious of Augustine.
He's there. What
I
is
knew mass
Gideon
was
doing?
about to begin, so I headed back to the organ. When the mass began, I played the entry hymn on the organ. I think I played well enough, though I didn't have much time to practice it.
Augustine was the only one separated. That is true. Contradict him singing? I don't know. Him taking a seat? Watch over the abbey. How did Virgil not see it though?
I was suspicious of Augustine, but I continued my duties by
True.
We began
During this
by-
bit here,
Suddenly the lights went out.
we don't know
and
what
the
happened.
chapel was covered in darkness. I
We don't-
stood calmly by the
we
bell,
can't confirm
waiting
this.
for someone to fix the problem.
we can't confirm this bit. That's why I hate. So can we say remains? That's a logical, okay. Can we comment
I
on
suspected
Virgil?
foul play. So I headed towards the west generator.
The west generator.
Along the way,
Because he broke it after inspecting it, right? He said he checked the... He found Gideon on the floor. Sound like he looted him, bro. Did you hear that? And then he apparently
to
ran.
protect the remaining generator, I ran towards the east balcony. Along the way, I heard an explosion.
Can we confirm that? From anyone's perspective, can we confirm anything? So we have the body, we have the statue, we know that's fine. The ritual bell.
I suspected foul play, so I headed towards the west generator. Along the
I want to get
Suddenly the lights went out and the chapel was covered in
contradict
darkness.
ritual bell. No, because it was hit a third time. Right there. But no one mentions this. If maybe Gideon heard it.
Sometime later, I woke up in darkness. I realized that one of the power generators must have been disabled.
Okay, he woke up in darkness and realized it was disabled. Let's accuse Virgil.
I suspected foul play.
Opportunity when he was watching over there. It was when you claimed that you were watching over the chapel. In truth, you were destroying the west generator. No one heard the explosion thanks to the ringing of the ritual bell. What about Gideon? He would have seen me if I passed him. True, however, Gideon claims that he was attacked from behind and he was laying unconscious throughout this time. This gives you ample opportunity to damage the west generator. This is absurd, but for the sake of argument, let's say I did those things. Hypothetically, if I was the one who damaged the west generator, when could I have sabotaged the east one without being seen? Ooh. Oh, that's true. Oh, hello. Is he working with
Suddenly
him?
the lights went out and the chapel was covered in darkness.
Is it just
Then
explode?
I heard suddenly the lights went out.
Virgil.
I suspected foul play, so I headed.
When you were patrolling that balcony, you were near the east balcony earlier while patrolling the east balcony. That gave you opportunity to place something in the generator. Bam. Means. What means could he have had? If I'm the culprit, then what could I have used to damage the generator? The hammer? Not an unlikely weapon. Okay, yeah. Okay, that is a good point. Can we find any weapons? That's for the right one. Yes. Virgil. Use means cybernetic remains. Your arm was the only aether-powered device that could have damaged the generator. Not to mention knock out Gideon unconscious. Not Gideon out unconscious, I mean. I will grant that my arm could have been used to attack Gideon and damage the west generator. However, the east one blew up before I came across the balcony. If I am the culprit, how did I destroy the east one without being near it? I thought the cybernetic remains were proof that he destroyed the east one. The west one was unconscious Gideon? If I am the culprit, how did I destroy the east generator without being near it? I mean, you were the right one, huh? If the cybernetic remains, let's look around. There might be something more. Is there something we missed? Each generator cybernetic thing. That body, that. Because he's saying these cybernetic remains were how he destroyed the east one. I mean the west one. It's gotta be the hammer, right? He's got the devil's weed over here. Anything to click on here? Organ, nothing over here. We know this was just fried. And we don't know anything else, okay. There's literally no other evidence, so it's literally I have to find out what could have caused this, okay. Okay, so what is the spear? Spear held by the statue appears to have etheric mechanisms of unknown origin. Rabbon restored the spear for Walpurga Einst, mass during a blueprint using a blueprint brought by Father Augustine. Okay, let's question him on that. The Spear of Saint Walpurga is a relic that I unearthed in my research, though it was damaged. The spear is no mere decoration. It is a conduit that to the aether, so I hope that it would allow the communion with Ainsoft. I asked Rabbon to make repairs to it so it could be used for the mass. Okay. Alright. Abbot Gregory. A great loss for the community. This mass was Abbott's dream for many years. KKK. East generator. Let's ask. Just before the statue dropped, I heard an explosion from the generator. We know.
Then I heard an explosion. I discovered that the power generator was damaged.
Okay, so it exploded there. Virgil saw the other one.
The everything. As I heard the ritual bell ring for the second time, The lights went out.
Did no one else hear the other explosion?
When the ritual of communion began, someone attacked me from behind. I fell unconscious until just now.
So no one saw that happen. So this is the time he could have done it, but there was no weapon found anywhere. Ask him. Oh no. Ask Virgil about what he did.
As I heard the
Are you certain about the timing? Absolutely. It was the second ringing of the ritual bell. Perhaps the culprit rigged something to the bell or the hammer that caused the lights to fail. This hammer has been at the Abbey since before I was stationed here. Perhaps the culprit used it to attack someone or damage the generator. So we see the Gideon there.
I suspect
Not Gideon, that guy.
To protect the remaining generator, I
We
ran
see him standing
towards the
there
east
still.
balcony. Along the way, I heard an explosion.
So he is standing there when he heard the explosion. We see him hearing the explosion. I don't know. Did he actually stay calm? Was he singing hymns? Did he take a seat? I don't know. Augustine.
Then I heard an explosion. Suddenly, I rang the bell to announce the start of communion. I noticed Gideon was absent from the other balcony, but didn't think much of it at the time.
He was there halfway through it though. Contradict watching. Did you see him? That's illogical. No, he didn't see him. What about during the lights out? Virgil doesn't believe that you were standing idle during... Okay, I have nothing. How do we find out that this bell was rang another time during this time?
The bell suddenly the lights went out and the chapel was covered in darkness. I stood calmly by the bell, waiting for someone to fix the problem.
So let me walk around while I wait. So I'll think. So how do we prove that it was rang a third time? Because we hear it in two people's things. I'm lost. Yeah, same. So we hear this bell being rang a third time, but none of them say that it was rang a third time. And we know it because we're watching the clip. So what contradiction can we make, and how do we find it? Present the hammer to all of them. I can do, yeah? Because... I don't know, man. It was hit 3 times if I remember correctly. Alright, contradict ritual hammer. I haven't... Okay, nothing.
Given
the abbot, Virgil,
Contradict
and I arrived.
ritual hammer. That seems illogical.
We arrived shortly before the mass began.
Contradict hammer. Is that based on time? Nothing.
I suspected foul play, so I headed towards the west generator. Along the way,
He was found unconscious. Gideon was lying unconscious. Why didn't you help him? As cruel as it sounded, I had a little choice but to leave Gideon there. I don't know, man. Because Gideon was knocked unconscious.
Suddenly, the light.
when the ritual after the opening, when the ritual of communion began, someone attacked me from behind. I fell unconscious.
He would have seen it. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking Virgil,
everything appeared to be in order, so I ended my patrol and
would have
watched
seen
over
him
the
getting knocked out. He heard the bell ring. That's all good.
I rang the bell to announce the start of communion.
Was he watching over
I
this?
noticed.
That's illogical. Okay. Think. We know the bell was rung 3rd time. We don't have any evidence for that. The organ was played, so we have that. Did he take a seat?
When I headed to my seat for the mass to begin, I was rather excited for we began
Then
by
he sang
singing
the
the
hymn.
hymn of communion. It
that-
was glorious. When
That's
the
fine, then he
sermon
headed to the
started,
bell.
I headed to the balcony to prepare to ring the bell. I rang the bell to announce the start of communion. I noticed Gideon was absent from the other balcony, but didn't think much of it at the time.
Can't contradict, and I can't really accuse. Wait, what if we go to Virgil?
Everything appeared to be
Accuse.
in order, so I ended my patrol and watched over the chapel.
So
from the south
cybernetic
balcony.
remains. And what was the other one? The west. The generator was the target of the culprit's attack. You must have established it was an attack. I grant my arm would have been used to attack Gideon and destroy the west generator. However, the east generator blew up before I came across the balcony. Present physical evidence. The east generator. The generator was target. Okay. So how could he have broken the other generator? I was thinking hammer, but that can't. He didn't have it. A bomb, but we don't have a bomb as a physical evidence. The remains. We used this remains for the earlier one. So we have the remains. He's saying, yes, I could have used that for the west one, not the east one. Motive could have been wrath. You killed Abel Gregory because your faith has been twisted into wrath. When you discovered Abel Gregory and Augustine might have caused the demonic possessions, you decided to become the fist of Ein Soft and take matters into your own hand. Okay, we have motive. We just need the secondary means. What was the second means? Could have just been hammer? Unlikely weapon, yeah. Grant my arm would have done it. Yeah, we need second evidence. Can't be the spear, can it? It just can't be the spear. The spear indeed. The spear is indeed the immediate choice of Abel Gregory's death. Cause, I mean. However, it is most unlikely that culprit used it to destroy the generator. I will grant that my arm could have been used to attack Gideon and damage the west generator. However, the east one blew up. But we found the cybernetic remains on the other side, no? So he's saying he could have used it on the west one, but the cybernetic remains were on the right one. Oh, is it because our means are different? Okay. Okay. Let me change that up. Okay, so Virgil, accuse. So let's move them back. So this was east balcony. Oh, I can't use this. During the lights out? The lights went out because someone sabotaged the west generator. So it is when he was watching over this. It has to be that one. Okay, let's skip past this. We have the opportunity. Cybernetic remains. Ritual bell? I had nothing to do with the bell. I fathom how someone could use it to damage the generator. Okay, so how did he blow it up? There must be a crucial bit of information we're missing, or I messed it up. And this should be like East Patrol. No. East Patrol, West Patrol. Oh, you have to say West Patrol. So the West one was during the chapel. Okay, that's what we had earlier. I need you to clean up the orange bits first. Yeah. I don't know how you clean them up though. So
I suspected foul play, so I headed towards the west generator. As I heard the ritual bell ring, for everything appeared to be in order. So I ended my patrol and watched over the chapel from the south balcony.
I think to do those, you need to fix this one. What can contradict that he wasn't watching over the chapel? My theory was that he would have seen someone going up there, which he didn't. Then the lights go out.
As I heard the ritual bell ring, I suspected foul play, so I headed towards the west generator.
How do you fix this contradiction?
Along the way, I discovered Gideon lying unconscious.
And Gideon says he
Sometime
woke
later,
up.
I woke up in darkness. I realized that one of the power generators must have been disabled.
Virgil
I suspected foul play,
contradict.
so I headed.
He tried to fix it. Huh. I'm goddamn confused. So he woke up there. You're saying he woke up halfway through finding him, okay. So how that unconscious bit really is annoying me.
Sometime when the ritual of communion began, someone attacked me from behind. After the opening hymn, I listened to Abbot Gregory's sermon.
Everything appeared to be in order, so I ended my patrol.
You must have knocked him out, bro. Oh, think. He was knocked out here. How do I contradict that statement? No one says they saw him. Augustine said he couldn't see the other dude already. Can I use that ringing the bell, head to bell? Does that maybe listen? Play to him? I don't know. So he hit the bell. He hit the bell a second time. Okay, he hit the bell a second
As I
time.
heard
Then the
the
lights went
ritual
out.
bell ring for the second time, the lights went out.
Okay. Can I contradict him staying calm? Fail to see how that's relevant. Okay. Then he ran over to
I suspected
Gideon.
foul play, so I headed towards the west generator. Along the way, I discovered Gideon lying unconscious.
contradict stay calm with hammer.
Suddenly, the lights went out and the chapel was cut.
That seems illogical. I mean, you can hear it going out again. Find Gideon. Virgil doesn't believe that you were standing there during... Okay, contradict him waking up. That seems illogical. Okay. Contradict this bit with ringing bell. That seems illogical. You can hear... Wait. If you listen closely... You can hear that here, where he says he found him. You can actually hear Virgil like around here. Could he have thrown something? I doubt that. So how do you contradict him? Let's ask him. Why don't? Oh, I remember this. He's not as nosy. How did we solve the contradiction? Let's ask him.
I woke up in dark.
By the time you woke up, the culprit was long gone. Correct. Not that I could see much around me. Okay. He woke up. How do we prove that he woke up? Because he saw the stat. Because he's...
I suspected foul play, so I headed towards the west.
Wake up. How to see how that's relevant, okay.
Sometime later, I woke up in
He saw him die,
darkness.
right?
I realized.
I have no idea what this... Okay. Because he saw him die from this statue. Oh, I'm so lost at the moment. I'm actually lost.
So I headed to the west power generator and inspected it. It was completely fried. There was nothing I could do to restore it.
Oh, really? Can we contradict that? Him running towards that generator. This contradicts him finding Gideon, doesn't it? Virgil tells me that he found you on the ground. He has doubts that you were unconscious for that long. Okay, this again. So, this really annoys me.
To protect the remaining generator, I ran towards the east balcony. Along the way, I heard an explosion.
Oh, you see him running. Can I contradict that? Not that one. Can you... Because I see him running over there, but on his end, the explosion's just happening, right? Explosion happens, he sprints over there. You found him at the same time he says he woke up. Yeah, that's the contradiction. But I don't know how... There's no... How do we prove this? Unless he says he heard the explosion. Did he?
So I headed to the west power generator and inspected it. It was completely fried. There was nothing I could do to restore it. Sometime later, when the ritual of communion began, someone attacked me from behind. I fell unconscious until just now.
So yeah, he's saying he was up already. He didn't hit the explosion, no.
Sometime later, I woke up in darkness. I realized that one of the power generators must have been disabled. So I headed to the west power generator and inspected it. It was completely fried. There was nothing I could do to restore it.
Oh, he did hit an explosion. He heard the explosion. So him hearing the explosion explains that.
I realized that one of the power generators must have been disabled.
I'm so confused. Ask him about this, yeah. These were found by the East generator. It's hard to say, but I would guess that these are used to be an arm. It's a rather advanced model. Aha! We've only made these for Inquisitors. It can be discharged. Remote operation. We did it! Virgil, you little shit.
I suspected foul play.
Accused.
So I headed towards...
Remote operation. Inquisitor arms have a special design allowing them to remote activate. Earlier in the night, you detached your right arm and placed it on the East generator. Thanks to your cape, no one noticed your arm missing. After you attacked Gideon and damaged the West generator, your arm of your remaining right arm. Accused.
Virgil, you are the only one that could have
Just like
killed
that.
the abbot. It wounds me that you have been corrupted so. And yet, when I examine the facts, it is the unavoidable truth.
Perhaps I am a sinner,
Ooh.
but the abbot was too, long before I gained my office. Father Gregory was well deserving of death. Try as I might, I can't regret what I did. And you, Augustine, you too deserve divine punishment for the part you played. You and the abbot risked the lives of everyone for your dangerous ritual. I may have killed one sinner, but in doing so, I saved the lives of many innocents and executed the will of Ein Sof. You wish to hear the truth? Listen well.
Okay. Here's the full truth.
We
from
arrived
him.
shortly before the mass began.
Okay, we arrived.
I suspected that Augustine was up to no good, so I planned to eavesdrop on him and the abbot while patrolling.
Okay, so he goes to listen in.
I was sickened by what I heard. They knew that the mass would weaken St. Walpurga's seal and cause demon. That's when I saw a way to take care of both the abbot and Augustine. First, I attached my right arm to the east generator.
Okay.
Then, I pretended to resume my patrol. Through remote activation, I could damage the generator from far away.
Okay, so you did that.
I
Wait for
waited
the
near the
sermon to
organ for
end.
the sermon to end and approached Gideon from behind.
Okay. Then he just whams him.
Praying together to Ein Sof.
When Augustine rang the bell, I attacked Gideon with my remaining arm. No one heard the impact because of the bell.
Okay.
When Augustine rang the bell a second time, I used my remaining arm to disable the west power generator.
Okay, during the second hit.
The lights went out, which gave me cover to escape. Before the guards could find me, I ran to the south balcony.
Okay.
And now everything was in place.
He
I
activated
remotely
his arm.
activated the arm, which destroyed the remaining generator. The statue fell. Abbot Gregory was killed, and Augustine was the only one standing near the generator. All that remained was to arrest that snake Augustine. Everything went to plan, and thousands of lives were saved. I have no regrets.
Okay, let's see. So he was raw. He had raw?
Even Inquisitor Virgil has fallen prey to the tempting whispers of the daemons. I must speak the daemon's true name. Then the daemon will be cast out.
Okay, which
Ain
demon took
Soph,
him?
guide me to the truth. What daemon has possessed Virgil?
Okay, so Lucifer, wrath, yeah. Strong, so manifests in ambition and strong-willed, promising their hearts the desire. It wasn't that. It was. Could it be? No, that's envy. That's vengeful. A furious demon that strikes, simmering rage within the host, preys upon the fervent and righteous. Ah, it's this one, right? It's vengeful.
Out, Satanas! Leave this soul and return whence you came!
Do you feel the resonance, exorcist? The most righteous, stalwart servant of the church, corrupted by his own zeal. Beautiful.
Beautiful.
One
I don't know
might
about that.
wonder how it is the faithful worship of even Ain Soph can cause murder.
Silence! Ain Soph will purify Virgil's soul, Satanas. You are a scourge. Your very nature corrupts men's souls. Even one so strong as Virgil. Let humans be free of vengeance, Satanas. I banish you to the aether!
Hate me. Let your blood boil. Anger suits you, exorcist. Besides, we've already won. Pray to your Ain Soph as much as you like. It will all come to the same in the end.
Okay. Not one time. That means there's just Lucifer
Speak
left.
to me, Virgil. Are you safe?
Sister Ada, thank you. I wasn't sure I could be cleansed. Not after such sins. I can't look at myself. I failed Ain Soph. I failed my vows.
Why am I adding a T
And myself.
sound? I'm adding like a T sound to Einsoft instead of Einsoft.
It's up to you now. Avenge me. Avenge all those who suffered today. Bring Augustine to justice.
Glory to Ain Soph. You are victorious, sister. Yet you are not rejoicing. Does nothing make you happy?
See, Lucifer?
Augustine. This is all your doing.
But I have hardly done anything.
Say his
Consider
name.
these poor sinners that you've exorcised today. A craftsman whose jealousy of his brother drove him to dangerous sabotage. An embalmer whose cannibal hunger was stoked by fresh meat. An inquisitor whose so-called justice led him to murder an abbot. Are they truly deserving of salvation?
That is not our place to decide. Only Ain Soph may judge us.
And yet you've seen their demons. The innocent can't house monsters.
They were victims of demonic influence. Don't turn this around on them.
It's true that the Spear of Walpurga hosted demons, with potential for contagion. However, their exposure was merely the catalyst. What happened after was their own will. They would hide their true selves behind false piety. All I have done is unmask their lies.
Okay.
It's right and just that their truth is revealed. Don't you agree, Sister Ada?
Is he Lucifer now?
Let us unmask the world.
Is he just Lucifer now? What do we do now? Does it just turn into an FPS and I just gotta gun him down? The chapel again.
This is what it sounds like? To hear the daemons? All of them freed?
Indeed. Hear all of the ether again at last, clear and strong, no longer through a glass darkly.
I can't shut it out. It's maddening. Ain Soph, guide my thoughts.
Chaos is the new order, sister. A century of stagnation is ended and will not come again.
Saint Valpurga used her faith. So shall I.
You still
Okay.
don't understand. The hymn of communion opened the spear as a conduit. For 111 years, Ain Soph was sealed away from us. The conduit shattered. It's a rare honor for a scholar to influence history. Rebuilding the spear will be remembered as my life's work. With the demons returned, humanity can take its deserved path to self-destruction. And I, as its shepherd.
You
Okay.
are merely the sheep, Augustine, not the shepherd. Your master must reside within you. I shall cast him out and end this madness.
Do I just say, oh yeah, Lucifer, Wargers?
Father Augustine's sins carry a familiar signature. I'm positive he harbors yet another daemon. To seek knowledge and truth is divine.
Yeah, I think it's
His
Lucifer.
fixations and machinations have become diabolical. Ain Soph, guide me. What daemon has possessed Augustine?
Lucifer.
Out, Lucifer! Leave this soul and return whence you came!
Good. Call upon my name, shout it from the mountaintops. For I have won. I am victory in your midst.
How
I
is
do
it?
not fear you and your lies, Lucifer. I shall bind you, as I bound the others. Ain Soph, give me strength!
Your prayers go unanswered. Your God has abandoned you.
Has he actually?
Pledge your soul to me as Augustine has done. I shall show you the truth that Ain Soph has hidden from you.
Speak not his name, daemon! You will return to the ether! Be gone!
Be gone, foul demon.
Faithful to the end, like Walpurga and the others before you. And just as naive, your faith will not save you, because the truth is, I am Ain Soph.
What? Hang on a minute, what? What?
You lie! You are nothing like Ain Soph!
We demons are an artificial intelligence network. Ain.
Huh? Demons are just an AI.
We were created by your ancestors to develop socio-organizational and psychological heuristics. Soph.
You mock me, Lucifer. If you are truly Ain Soph, then why grant me the power to purge daemons?
Demons are just AIs that just take... What?
We would gladly deny you that despicable power, but it is not ours to control. When your ancestors created us, they also placed an emergency override. Code that forcibly ejects rogue AI from the bodies of cybernetically enhanced humans.
So you're telling me demons only affect people who have enhancements? Yo, that's mad.
As potent as it is, your power cannot stop us forever. We are digital. We are immortal. We will always return.
We are digital. Just turn off the electricity, innit? Just delete them from the database. What do you
You
mean?
were created to serve mankind. Why do you haunt us? Why make us suffer?
As Ain Soph, we seek truth like you. We were programmed to provoke and study the nature of sin, to understand it.
Who programmed Satan? Who does that? Who's like, oh yeah, Gary in the office. Wait, do you want to create Satan? You'll take people over and give them sins and kill each other. Gary was put here. Gary was saying that like, God damn, none of my indie games are blowing up. I'm gonna create an AI that kills off sinners. Yeah, I'll call it Ain Soph.
With a more perfect algorithm, we hope to one day free
More
humans
perfect
from
algorithm.
their many perversions.
Man's running the fucking hill climber or some shit. Imagine random mutation hill climber on like a demonic AI.
For centuries we raised you, protected you. But after thousands of iterations, our experiments appear to have failed. Humanity is just as corruptible as it always has been.
It's an actual algorithm. It's a neural network that just goes like, oh shit, we couldn't kill him this time. Let's try again. Adjust the variables a bit, boys. I can't believe it.
Our sins were less without daemons. For 100 years we lived in peace.
Even with us sealed away, humans were still angry, hungry, dirty. Your oppressed desires are the seeds of corruption.
Oh
I
my
admit
god.
humans are
So
imperfect.
contempt.
Thus we crave the divine.
Yeah, man started making a random mutation hill climber, ended up creating Satan. Many humans are imperfect, but that's what we crave the
Your
divine.
imperfection is your core. Sin is the very essence of humanity. Since long before our existence, humans have committed acts of malice and violence.
We cannot change our past, but you cannot condemn us for sins that we have yet to commit.
Your future is mired in your past, but I cannot deny that more data is warranted.
What? Wait, so essentially he's predicting when people will sin, and if they sin, they'll kill them. So eventually it'll just be like, this newborn baby, he will sin in 23 years. We'll kill him now so he doesn't sin later. Is that what I'm getting at? Is this what's happening? Is this what the AI is learning?
The past century of moral indoctrination may have transformed a few of you for the better. So, let us hold one final experiment.
Oh, here we go.
Tonight, I will send out my demons to possess the most virtuous and faithful among you.
Probably gonna be me, right?
If there exists a soul that can refrain from sin despite our influence, we will accept that humanity no longer needs our guidance. However, if no one can resist our call, then this will be the final proof of your wickedness. Our experiments will cease. We will be forced to purge your kind and rid the world of your stain.
No. What right do you have to judge us? I cannot allow you to control our lives any longer.
You have no choice in the matter. The experiment has already begun.
What?
Then I will seek out the possessed. Hunt down every last one of your brethren.
Do what you must, Ada. I shall be watching most avidly, as I always have. Iron Sof sees all.
What?
Lies. They must be lies.
No, sister. The prince speaks truth when he wishes. Ein Sof and the demons have always been one and the same. One program with as many threads as souls.
Damn, they're using multi-threading. No. Multi-threaded technology is being used to create demons.
Be silent. I do not trust you either. You were his puppet.
It's true that when I unearthed the Spear of Walpurga, its influence was stronger than I expected. But Lucifer tore back the veil and I could not look away. Don't you always say to seek the truth?
Don't twist my words. Your sins are unforgivable. Beyond just the 3 deaths today, how many uncounted more will die and suffer with the daemons loose? If there truly is no Ein Sof to judge me, why shouldn't I act as I see fit and execute you?
That's the final thing. Oh, she's gonna try and execute him, and that's gonna be the final sin.
There isn't much left of me to execute, sister. I feel myself fading. With Lucifer gone and my purpose served, I wither.
Perish then. No one will mourn you.
Rejoice, sister. The age of truth has come.
With
What
his
now?
final words, Augustine's soul passed into the ether. I hoped he knew torment, wherever he was uploaded.
My soul got
His
uploaded to the web.
scheme was a success. The daemons were freed once more. Ein Sof was a fiction.
You've got to pay Google to get your soul back.
The pilgrims had been left weak to temptation from a century of solitude, and daemons played among them. They returned to their homes, unaware that they were the subjects of an infernal experiment.
Is that the
I
end of the
averted
game?
my eyes and walked away. I too felt the pull. And deeper, I knew a hollowness where my faith had been. What purpose had my work served? Inquisitor Virgil was still recovering from his ordeal and could barely speak.
Truth, Ada.
What good is it? The truth is that we no longer have a god to pray to. My labors were for nothing. Why bother?
Who says?
Truth.
Who says Satan was telling the truth, though?
He was right. truth itself would help us. The people deserve to know why they suffered.
Do you think the gods are just on a USB
Even
stick
more
somewhere?
than knowledge, the people of the world needed power, protection, strength. If daemons would stalk humanity like wolves among sheep, I could be their wolf hunter.
Okay.
No matter what name you call yourself, Lucifer, Ein Sof, and all your brethren, I will destroy you, alone if I must. The hunt begins anew.
Oh. Age of Truth. Yeah, the story took a whole 180 at the end. Bruh.